what was your "I'm dating a f***ing idiot" moment? The first post is by Unterraformable. I was cutting plywood on my table saw. She came up behind me when I didn't know she was there and decided to help me by pushing a sheet when I was already pushing it through. It lurched and I damn near lost a finger. She had no idea why I was angry at poor little her. Let me help you drive by reaching across and stomping on the gas pedal. I honestly don't know why she could have thought that you needed help, but it's easier to believe that than that she was trying to kill you. The next post is by Post-Nut Clarence. For me, the last girl I went on a date with blindly crossed the street with cars moving in both directions. They had to slam on their brakes to avoid her. I waited and crossed when there was no one coming. When I finally got up to her, I asked, "What the f*** was that?" And she said, "Pedestrians have right of way." God, I mean, she's not wrong, but that's also a great way to end up dead. The Real Fozzie Bear leaves a comment that says, "I always use the same phrase my father used when things like that come up. There's a lot of people in the cemetery that had right of way too." The next post is by Maverick. I was in a long-term relationship with a girl while I was attending grad school and we shared a studio apartment. One winter evening, I'd planned to spend a late night at the school library doing some reading assignments, but was so exhausted that I decided to pack up and go home early. When I got home, I opened the door and immediately got hit by an overwhelming smell of gas. Turns out, this girl had decided that she was cold, and the best way to heat up our apartment would be to turn the oven on and leave the door open, thinking the heat from the oven would warm the apartment. Did I mention the windows were completely shut and locked? I immediately opened the windows, got her out of the apartment, and called building management. She couldn't understand what the big deal was until I finally got through to her that she could have very well died of carbon monoxide poisoning had I not come home early that night. To top it off, she told me she'd planned to light some candles. We broke up a few months later. Yes, good idea, even if just for your own safety. One day you'll come home and see a blackened pile of rubble where your house used to be. A lot of people seem to think they overreacted. Let me know what you think in the comments. The next post is by Katie Dondo. I was dating a guy and we worked together, but we were on opposite shifts. I came in for turnover and he lets me know that he can't get into the computer in the office and the password on the sticky note was not working. The sticky note was very straightforward. It was written like login XYZ, password XYZ. I thought, that's weird because I literally used it the night before. I get to the computer, punch in the password and boom, I'm logged in. I asked him what he was putting in and he goes, "Password XYZ, like it says on the sticky note." Look, the password is XYZ, not password XYZ. Not his brightest moment. And the kicker is he did this for several days and thought it was an issue everyone was having. Anarchist Rat Swarm relates to this in the comments. I knew a guy who put underscores in the password with no underscores. As in, Wi-Fi _password no underscores. He later changed it to be Wi-Fi _password _ no underscores. That is the most meta password I've ever heard. I've noticed there are a lot of very small posts on this page, so I've taken some of the highlights and I'm going to read those to you now. He thought Al-Qaeda was a country. He played a lot of COD and got a tattoo based on a cool design he saw in the game. It was the Nazi eagle. She was doing a college course and had to write an essay on symbolism in The Dark Knight Returns. She wrote an essay on the bat symbol and how it symbolises Batman. She was fidgeting with her keys and on her keyring was a thing of pepper spray. She was chewing on it like you would a pen or pencil and triggered it into her own mouth. When he asked my grandmother if she'd ever had children. I was having bad cramps and I took an Advil. My ex told me I shouldn't take them because it's a gazebo. It became obvious that she had a poor sense of direction when I asked her which way was north. She pointed up. My girlfriend in high school had a pet hamster. She decided to give it a bath and afterwards it was cold and shivering. To dry it off, she put it in the microwave. It apparently exploded and died. Exploded and died, huh? She asked me when 9/11 happened. She asked me if I honestly believed dinosaurs were real. And here's the final one. I was going into anaphylactic shock at a restaurant due to an unknown allergy. My throat was closing and I had no neck due to swelling. He asked if I wanted to go outside to get some air. We were sitting on the patio. At least he was trying to help. The next post is by Wow, I'm Not Dead Yet. She had a new telescope and thought it would be really cute to check out the stars after a date one night. I don't remember the full conversation, but at some point I joked about us being stuck together on this giant ball in space. She looked through the telescope again and said, "So you believe that, huh?" I just stared at her blankly because I was afraid of the question going any further. We didn't last long, but did you guys know that there's totally a lot of evidence that our planet is probably not round? In the comments, Bun Bun posts a similar experience. Don't you know that the government's trying to hide us from knowing that there's an end to the world? Even all the pilots are in on it. See their flight trajectories that aren't straight 100% of the time. Yeah, sure, it's definitely possible to get all the governments to agree on one thing. The next post is by Zealous Ideal. I wasn't fully dating this guy, but at Sonic. Hi, can I have a slushie? Sure, what flavour? You know, a slushie. Yes, but what flavour do you want? I just want a slushie, like a regular slushie. Okay, but sure, a regular slushie. The order is brought out, he takes a sip and goes, I think this is just ice, it has no flavour. I thought it was so funny that they gave him a plain slushie instead of just defaulting to cherry or something. I could have helped explain to him while he was ordering it, but I was too stunned to speak. Crayon Eyes comments arguing from the customer perspective. There's a flip side to this. I hate when I order a signature dish that's made with specific ingredients and then the clerk asks me what I want on it. I want the sandwich exactly how it's described on the menu. It's a signature meal, for Christ's sake. They look at me like I'm stupid for not knowing what I want on it. I do. I want it exactly as described on your own menu. No less, no more. I honestly can't relate. I don't think I've ever had a situation where I've asked for a, quote, signature dish and they haven't just gotten the dish. But I can definitely see why that would be annoying. Oh, sorry, one more comment by Shrek Nipple, which I think's worth including. Can I have a mango slushie? Sorry, our slushie machine is broken, but I can do a regular ice drink instead. That's okay. Can I get a lime slushie? Sorry, our slushie machine is broken. We can't make any slushie drinks. Can I get you something else? Oh, that's okay. Can I get a cherry slushie? This continued through most of the flavours. He was a really nice guy, had Shaggy from Scooby-Doo vibes. The next post is by Guinea Pig Cthulhu. When he ran out of gas while in line at the Starbucks drive-thru right across the street from the gas station. I told him to get gas first because his car was low, but he really needed that iced caramel macchiato. I asked why he didn't listen to me, and he replied with, I thought I could make it. He ended up pushing the car through the drive-thru and got his coffee while doing so, then parked the car in the lot and called a tow. To tow it back home, instead of the gas station across the street. No, he did not get any gas that day. He waited until his dad got off work to bring a 3-gallon jug of gasoline because I refused to enable that shit. The worst part about that day is that he didn't remember the fact that he had a canister for gasoline in his trunk. He told me he towed the car home instead of the gas station because he was too embarrassed and ashamed of himself. I asked him why he pushed his car through the Starbucks drive-thru, and he deadpan says, I had enough stars for a free drink. I was going to put the extra money I saved in my tank. My brain broke for a second because he uses the preloaded Starbucks app. How is he going to use the $7 of his preloaded Starbucks app at a Chevron? He still hasn't answered me and it's been 2 years since. Well, I can see what he means by using the money he saved on the coffee on fuel, but that doesn't change whether you go before or after. Obviously, making sure your car has fuel should take priority. The next post is by Airjack. I was in the passenger seat of my ex-girlfriend's car. We were 22 at the time. Whilst driving, I opened the glove compartment to store something. She turned and screamed, "What the f*** are you doing?" Confused, I asked, "What's going on?" Apparently, as a kid, she used to play with the glove compartment all the time, so her parents told her that opening the glove compartment on a moving car would damage the engine. She was 22 and still believed this. I think it would be quite a bad design fault to let people damage the engine so easily. Jessley relates to this in the comments. I was her at some point. Learned the hard way that no, it isn't illegal to turn the light on when you're in the backseat of a car at night. I was 25 and a notary. Not gonna lie, this is actually news to me. For the longest time, I've thought that if a police car drove past, we'd get pulled over. Final post for the day by Sardoodledom Autism. I dated a girl who refused to stop for animals while driving because her dad said it causes accidents. I was driving with her. She insisted on driving when I picked her up, and she hit a squirrel like it was nothing. And I asked her, "Didn't you see that squirrel?" She said yes, but she didn't want to cause an accident. There was no one else on the road. That's when she explained what her father taught her. She then hit a cat on the same trip on the way home at like 35 miles per hour when she could easily have stopped. And that was the last time I ever spoke to her. I'd love to see what happens when she comes across a deer on the road. Good luck continuing like nothing happened. And that's all for today. Thank you very much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.